YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Curated Topics. We are on episode 20, y'all. 20. That means we made it a long way. We still got a long way to go, but we made it a long way. Got to celebrate those small victories, right? All right, let's start the show off right how we do every time. Let's go with candle of the evening. What we got today? We got this Mi Campo tequila bottle. I love the label. I know I got a little bit of a shininess, but can y'all see that? That label is nice. Now, when I first got hip to this bottle, I was at the store perusing around, looking around. I like to experiment with my liquor sometimes. If you're gonna drink, please drink responsibly. But I'm in the liquor store and I'm looking around and I saw this bottle and I saw the label and I'm just like, whoa, what is that? And I had to try it because the label was just so artistic and cool. So I checked it out. But what we got in here today, hold on. You know I gotta give it the smell test, and ooh-wee, that smells so good. So what we have here today is the Lavender. It's a staple over here at Curated Scents LLC. Make sure you check us out online. Lavender is a complex aroma and is known for being calming and serene. It's actually part of our relaxation therapy collection, and it's very fresh. It has clean qualities with just a little hint of sweetness. So this is a herbaceous scent, and it's a classic, like I said, and it's a staple in any home. So check us out, curatedsentsllc.com. All right, we gonna move into the sports. I'm gonna make this quick because it ain't nothing good to talk about. All right, let's talk about some football. So I'm gonna talk about my Browns. Like I said before, it ain't nothing good. This season is a wash. Let's be honest, this season is a wash. We're like 1-5. We ain't about to do nothing. The only hope we have is maybe some of these other teams lose out and we can squeak into the playoffs. I don't see it happening. I've just considered this season a wash. I didn't even really watch the last game when we played that other team that I refused to talk about. They beat us, of course. They beat us pretty badly too. I think it's just over with. And the problem is it starts all the way at the top. Our owner doesn't know football. He's come out and said it himself publicly. He don't really know football, so he doesn't care. We got a general manager who's making all types of weird decisions, like trading Flacco. Now, before I said I didn't really know how I felt about that. I was on the fence because, you know, we're a little bit closer to getting Shoutout Sanders in the game. We kept Dylan Gabriel, but he was our new starter, and then Shoutout Sanders was about to get his time potentially. But as I'm looking back on it, especially after the game last night where Cincinnati beat that team, I'm like, why would you trade Flacco to an in-division opponent? That makes no sense. And it really goes to show you that Flacco wasn't the issue at all. Flacco wasn't the issue at all. Now, he did have one bad game with us where I thought he could have been throwing a lot better. But as I said before in the previous videos, man, our wide receivers been dropping passes, handing the ball off to the defense so that they can intercept it, like all types of craziness that has nothing to do with our quarterback. It's not our fault Flacco threw him the ball and he can't catch it. Now, when you put Flacco in a system where he's actually got some receivers who, first of all, want to perform, second of all, have the ability to perform, he actually did something. And people were worried, oh, well, he's only got 2 weeks left with the team, maybe a week and a half. What's he gonna be able to do? This and that. He didn't even get any real reps. Well, he showed you what he just did after a week and a half. He won a game against the division leader. He won the game. So I don't know what we doing here in Cleveland. I don't think they care. I think they just want to tank this season after our first few losses so that they can move on to creating that new arena over there in Berea. And, you know, they really just don't even care about what the fan base is talking about. We got rid of one of our top cornerbacks in Newsom, traded him to another in conference opponent, which I don't understand. Let's make all these other teams better than us. What? This makes no sense. So moving forward, I'm even questioning, do we put Shedeur Sanders in? I don't want us to put him in and then, okay, we throwing him to the Wolves. So then we end up getting rid of him and justify it by bad play. And it's not even his fault for real. So I'm kind of thinking, all right, let's ride the rest of the season out with Dylan Gabriel. Hopefully nothing happens. I don't know. As of right now, for real, I'm done watching Browns games. I don't even want to watch them. They're boring. They're not. I would rather take an exciting loss where we lose. You know, it might be a 1-point game or something, but we've actually scored points versus getting blown out because all we can do is kick field goals. I'm cool. So it's a wrap on that season. All right, now let's talk NBA. I am ready for the season to start. Season starts October 21st. First Cavs game is October 22nd. I am ready. I'm probably going to watch all the games. I'm probably going to watch all the games to start, and I just can't wait. I'm so excited. Y'all can't tell, but like, I'm very excited. I wait for basketball. I like football. Watching football is cool, but it's like, it's only games, 3 days a week max. Basketball, it's almost every day, and I love watching basketball, especially when you got good players on almost every team. And then it's high scoring. It is fun to watch. So I can't wait for basketball season to start. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of the news that's happening with basketball season. So shout out to my boy Russ. Russ is on a team, y'all. He signed with the Kings. I don't know what this means for the Kings. I don't think it makes them much better as a team. I think it's a good addition. He will either get a chance to start over Dennis Schroeder and then Schroeder come off the bench, or vice versa, where he'll have the opportunity to play with that second unit. He adds scoring ability to the second unit and some other things. So we will see how that goes. I am super excited though. I'm glad he got onto a team. I really didn't want to see him go out in that way. Kind of similar to Carmelo Anthony. I didn't like how Carmelo went out. He didn't really get his opportunity to have that last year or last ride or anything like that. And I think that's kind of disrespectful, especially for a legendary player of that caliber. Legendary players like that, they deserve to have their flowers. They deserve to, make the big announcement while they still in the league, all those sorts of things. And so I'm really glad to see Russ making it onto a team without getting semi pushed out, if you will. Pause. But that begs the question, is this about to be Russell Westbrook's last year? Are we coming up on the end of an era here? Me personally, I don't think it should be. I think he's got at least a couple years left in him. I would say at least 2 or 3. I think that he performed pretty decently last year for Denver. Is he the Russ that he used to be? No, but that's okay. I don't think that we should expect players to be exactly who they once were in their primes. There's very few players who are able to even extend their primes like that. And I think that in the right opportunity, in the right situation, I think Russ could still be a starter in this league. He could still do something and be productive in the NBA. I just think it depends on the team. I think it depends on the situation and how the teams try to utilize his talent. See, the game has gone away from really a lot of his strengths, where it's attack the basket. As a guard, he's actually a really good post player as a guard. Mid-range is very solid, but the NBA has developed into a 3 predominant league, and we saw problems with that in the playoffs last year. All the teams who were just jacking up threes, they lost. But the teams who actually utilized the mid-range when the 3 was not working, they utilized the mid-range to help get easy buckets. Those are the teams that win the game. So you can't just not do those things. In other news, Malcolm Brogdon retired. Shout out to Malcolm Brogdon. He was a solid player. He actually won Rookie of the Year, I think 2014. Another player who I think kind of deserves more flowers than he really got. I think injuries kind of slowed his career down. I think he could have been a solid backup player for one of these NBA teams. So it's just kind of sad to see these types of things happen to these players where they can't get, up into the league anymore. And that kind of makes me question, are some of these players, are they getting pushed out so that the young bloods can get in? And are they retiring too early? Two examples I got Blake Griffin. He kind of just faded out of the league. Like, he was a huge name in the NBA. And then the next thing you know, he's just, Blake Griffin retired. I was like, wait, what? I didn't even remember what team he was on last. And it's sad to see guys who have this immense talent start to bounce around other teams, and then they end up retiring early. DeMarcus Cousins is another one. He deserves to be on an NBA team right now. You cannot tell me, you cannot name a bunch of centers who are better than DeMarcus Cousins right now. He would be in the top 5 centers of the league right now, and he should have that opportunity to play. I think guys are retiring too early. I think something is going on where staying power is not what it used to be. And it's kind of sad, because when you see some of these guys, you're like, man, all it takes is the right situation, because they belong in this league. They truly belong in the NBA. And that's kind of going to lead me into the motivational piece. All right, I want to take this opportunity to shout out everyone who has supported me along the way. We have made it to 400 subscribers, and I really appreciate all of you. So thank you. I want to take this time to give you all your flowers. Please keep sharing out the videos, keep liking the videos, commenting, all those things, because it helps us grow. And I'm trying to help everybody else grow. The whole idea behind this is that we be the best version of ourselves. So that's men, that's women, everybody. We building each other up over here. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to say thank you. Appreciate all of you all. We're growing actually even faster than previously before. So this is going really great. I'm ecstatic, and I can't wait to see how we keep increasing the channel. Appreciate y'all. Let's move on. So for the motivational piece today, I am titling it, You Belong There Too. And I want to shout out KS real quick. I got the idea from watching one of his videos where he did the same thing. He talked about the fact that you belong there too. Now his was directed towards black men, and I want to direct mine to everybody. You belong there too, whatever that might mean to you. So if you're chasing success, if you want to be in those upper echelon rooms, if you want to be in a better situation, then you belong there. Sometimes it takes work. All the time it takes work. It's going to take effort. It's going to take all of those things. And sometimes it just takes being in the right situation. Let's go back to sports for a minute. Look at Mac Jones. Mac Jones was a quarterback for the Patriots. They were not doing well when he was there. He went over to the San Francisco 49ers. Something happened to Brock Purdy where he got injured. Mac Jones gets the start, and he has been performing. But he is in a totally different situation. Look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones used to be the quarterback for the New York Giants. They were terrible there. The Giants, man, New York tried to run him up out of there, pause. And after his time in New York, he went over to the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody doubted that move. They're like, well, why did you get him? He was terrible in New York. Why would you pick that guy up? And he is performing there. The Colts are, I think, number 1 in the AFC, 5-1 or 6-1. He is doing well over there. I hate to say it, but look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, during his time with the Browns, he only had like one good season with the Browns. He had a lot of hope here. There was a lot of hype behind him, but he didn't do that well here. He bounced around the league a little bit, going to Carolina, going to the LA Rams, and then he found a home with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now he is performing. I think they're like 5-1 as well. He is doing a great job down there, and he's in talks for MVP. But what does that tell you? That tells you that, okay, maybe you might have been in the wrong situation before. Maybe you might have been in the wrong room where you were undervalued, underappreciated. Maybe you weren't performing to your best ability in that spot because of those things. But in a new situation, you belong there too. You belong there too. Sometimes it just takes the right situation. And sometimes that's hard for us to figure out, right? We don't know because of all the uncertainties going on around us. But once you figure it out, once you see that you are somewhere where you're valued, that's when you kick it into overdrive. And that's what helps build up your confidence so that you know, hey, I belong here too. Now, how do you know when you belong? That comes from putting in the work. It truly comes from putting in the work, because what happens is you put in the work, you start to see the results from your efforts, and you build that confidence. Have confidence in your abilities and in your work. Now, we all need some validation. We all need some confirmation. And that comes from the results of our efforts. When you put in the effort, when you put in the time, and you see yourself succeed, even when it's the small victories, that helps build your confidence. And when you've built your confidence, you know that you belong. That leads me to my next point. When you know that you belong, you got to act like it. Now, I'm not saying you go out there and be arrogant, but you have to exude that confidence. You have to walk with the aura of confidence. I'm not saying you have to be rude or mean about any of that, but you can't take no mess either. You have to have professional boundaries, and you have to know when and how to stand up for yourself. People are going to challenge you out here. There are going to be people who look at you and they're not going to believe that you belong, or they just want to test you and see if you have the resolve. And you have to be able to, not in a mean way, not in an unprofessional way, but you have to be able to stand up for yourself. You have to be able to show that you know what you're doing. You have to be able to show that you are competent. I went through something at my old job, and I promise y'all, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm actually going to go through that in full detail. But I went through something at an old position where I was being tested all the time. They didn't think that I looked the part. They didn't think that I knew what I was doing, or you just took this in college so that you could graduate. No, I actually did know what I was doing. I had a resume that spoke for itself. I had knowledge that spoke for itself. I would bring my old notes from college to my job so that I could show, hey, this isn't just me doing this willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? I actually have studied this. I actually continue to study this, and I don't know everything. And that's where I showed a willingness to learn. I'm not trying to argue with anybody or prove that I'm smarter than anyone, but I am competent and I do know what I'm doing. And it took those sorts of efforts for them to understand, okay, yeah, this dude does know what he's doing. It's not just about showing up to collect a check. No, I know what I'm doing. And that's part of it. You have to act like you belong. Jamie Foxx, in his Oscar winning speech that he had from Ray, he said, my grandmother was my first acting coach. She said, act like you've been somewhere. Well, that's what you have to do. If you know you belong in the room, if you know you're trying to succeed at something, you got to act like you've been somewhere before. You might be uncertain, you might be nervous, but you have to show, hey, I belong here too. You have to have that confidence. Immerse yourself in the culture, wherever you're at. Let's say you want to go to a museum or something and you've never been there before. Study up, learn about what it is that you're about to do. Prepare yourself. You want to go somewhere high class, put on a suit. Whenever I put on a suit and I go step out into the world, I get all sorts of looks and reactions. I won't forget this. I went to a benefit dinner. My mom had invited me to it. And so I showed up, popped in, had to politic, all that. And I got on a suit with a tie, cufflinks, the whole nine. And I had people walking up to me because they wanted to know who I was. I had stood up straight, had my shoulders out. They wanted to, hi, my name is this such and such. And who are you? What do you do? Where do you work? Do you have a card? I didn't even get to answer questions before they were on to the next one, trying to figure out who I was, where I was from. Now, I'm already tall. I'm about 6'3", 6'4", so I'm standing over everybody. And as soon as I walked into the room, I saw about 10 heads turn, and they like, wait a minute, who is this brother? Who is he popping up? And then he got on a suit too, and a tie, and everything's, but I mean, tie is up here, like it's not sagging or nothing. Everything's put together. So who is he? That's how you have to show up when you know that you belong. You got to speak the language. You can't show up just filet mignon. No, filet mignon. You have to speak the language. You have to know at least a little bit of what it is you're doing, where you're going, to show that, hey, I belong here too. People are going to test you all the time. They're not going to believe that you truly are one of them. And you have to prove them wrong by at least knowing enough to surprise them. I have a favorite restaurant, right? And it had been a while since I went there because I went away for college and stuff like that. And so I came back, and it was one of the first places I wanted to go to since being away. And I didn't realize it changed ownership. So I get there, I'm sitting and I pull up into the parking lot. And the very first thing was they had valet, and the valet was like, "Oh, are you trying to go into the restaurant? Are you sure? Like, you know where you going?" And I looked at him. I said, "Man, I've been coming here for 30 years. What are you talking about?" Of course I know where I'm going. I know the owner, and I shot the owner's name out there. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know. You didn't think I belonged here. I showed up. I didn't have on a suit, but I was dressed nicely. It's not too many of us who go into that restaurant, and I understand why. It's a neighborhood thing. I'll get into that in a different video, but it's a neighborhood thing where, we weren't always welcome. But as I said before, I had been going there for almost 30 years at that point. I grew up going to school over there, so I have history over there. And that leads me to my next point. Know the history. Know at least enough to put the idea in other people's mind that you belong there. So I get into the restaurant. I'm talking to the new owner, and the new owner was like, "Hey, you look kind of familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. I was a server here." And I was like, "Oh, you used to serve here? Oh, well, you should know me then. I've been coming here for almost 30 years. And then he looked at me again, and he said, "You always order this." And I said, "Yep, that's me." He said, "Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you, in some years." Because I was away in college. Like I said, I was in college for 5 years. So it had been a minute since he had seen me. He's, "Oh my goodness, like, so good to see you. I'm glad you came in, this and this and this." And, then I started dropping names again. I said, "Oh, well, how's so-and-so doing?" Who was the previous owner. He said, "Oh, well, he's good. Him and his wife moved, and they sold the restaurant to me, and I'm the owner now." And I said, "Oh, okay, great. And it changed his whole tune. Why? Because he saw, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been here. I have taken this man's order before. No, he belongs here." And we got totally different service. He brought us over some food for free. I think we got dessert that night. Handed a shot to me, all sorts of things. But it's like I said, I had the confidence. I knew where I was going. I spoke the language. I had history with the place, and I wasn't afraid to use it. All those things, all those tools, all those techniques, those are the things that you're going to have in your back pocket to show people, hey, I belong here too. I'll have what everybody else is having. Thank you. Matter of fact, I'll have what I want, and I'll have it the way I want it because I belong here too. Now, I wasn't mean about it. I wasn't disrespectful. In fact, we engaged in conversation and were able to network and things like that afterwards. I brought up the whole candle business to him. He gave me a couple bottles. He said, here, can I order one though? It sounds like you got something good going on. Can I order one? And then I brought him a candle within the next week. Now, if I had been rude, he probably would have asked me to leave. But instead, I was able to kill that situation with kindness and turn it into something else. So now, not only is it, oh, you belong, but now every time I come afterwards, oh, good to see you. How you doing? I have brought many other people there. They now have started a relationship with the restaurant, all sorts of things. So I say that to say, hey, you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be rude. Sometimes our first line of defense is to put that wall up, to put that guard up. And, you know, sometimes when we put up our boundaries, we do so with not only strength, but aggression. And you don't have to do that. You put it up with strength, but still be kind, because you never know what kind of relationship you can formulate from these types of situations. And like I said, every time I walk in now, whole tune is different. I am treated like I belong there. Sometimes I'm treated like I own the place, and I don't. I'm using that as a figure of speech, but you know, people are going to look at you sometimes and question. They're going to question if you belong. They're going to question if you know what you're doing. And this is where your confidence comes into play. Stand tall, even when you're nervous, even if you're in unfamiliar territory. Your confidence will radiate and people will gravitate towards you. Some people, they'll come up to you, and that's when you can kind of let them know, okay, well, you know, I don't know everything. And they will be more than willing to help you, and they'll help you navigate the situation. But keep that confidence. Make sure you're standing tall, because you truly belong there. So let me ask you this. Why aren't you there? Is it because you're afraid? Are you afraid that someone will think you don't belong? Excuse me, YouTube, but fuck them. Don't make yourself smaller to appeal to somebody else. Don't segregate yourself to make them feel comfortable. You got to make them recognize you. Start with the work. Start with the effort. And go out there and take it. Success is taken. Power is taken. You have to enter the realm of competition. Do what you need to do. Put in the time. Put in the effort. And win. So let me ask you this. What's stopping you? If you want to do better, you got to be better. If you want more out of life, you have to do more. And if you want results, you have to put the time and effort in that's required. Build yourself up, create a network, get help, meet with coaches, meet with mentors, learn new skills, compete and win. You belong anywhere you desire, and you're not confined to your current situation. Your destination is your destiny, and that means it's your decision on how far you go. All right, we're going to close it on out talking about some music. I'm excited. The album of the week. I don't know if I've talked about this album or not before, but it is Michael by Killer Mike. Now, this album here won Rap Album of the Year in 2024, and deservedly so. I called it when I first heard the album. I think I've heard like the first 3 or 4 songs. I was like, oh, this is Album of the Year. And it won. It put Killer Mike on the map, as it should have. And this album is so good. This is one of those albums where it is good from start to finish. My top 3 songs, number 1 and number 2, Down by Law and Shed Tears, and then Spaceship Views featuring Future and Andre 3000. I love this album. This album is one of those where I just let it play and I put it on repeat. And actually, the first two songs, Down by Law and Shed Tears, they actually got me in my feelings a little bit. I was like, oh man, this is good. I was in the car listening to it. I turned it all the way up and I played it nonstop back to back. One of them songs, oh, I heard line, I gotta put the whole song on repeat. Shout out to Killer Mike. He really came out with a gem, and this is something that relates back to the motivational piece. Killer Mike had been in the rap game for 20 years before getting the kind of recognition that he honestly deserved as one of the better lyricists in the game. And I want to put this out there as well, little side note, little tangent, but shout out to all of the older rappers who are resurfacing and putting out some great projects, some great albums, and showing that they still have talent, skill, and are still relevant in the game. You young cats, y'all gotta catch up, because they are doing something that honestly a lot of them can't do. They are putting lyricism back into rap, and I'm here for it. Now back to Killer Mike. This resonates with the motivational piece. Like I said, sometimes you gotta be in the right situation. Sometimes you gotta have a little skin in the game. Sometimes you gotta have some history. And then you come in and show that you belong here too. And that's exactly what he did with his album. He took his time, he put in the effort, he put in the work, and he made sure it came out perfect. And it did. And that's why it got the results that it did. That's why it won Rap Album of the Year. And he got the flowers that he deserved. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. I want to say thank you to all my listeners. I appreciate all the feedback I've been receiving. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. Like I said, we building each other up over here. That's men, women, everybody. I want us all to be the best version of ourselves. Y'all have a great weekend. And like I always say, I'll catch y'all on the next one.